About to make you ready as fuck. This video is just analogy of what the real world is. I'm gonna expose you guys to content, information that you've never been exposed to. I'm gonna expose you to principles and truth that are being kept away from you. And if you're in this journey with me, it'll change your life. A lot of you guys have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Do you understand me? Well, you have, but my life, what if I get? You have nothing to lose. You are at the bottom of the food chain. You're at the bottom of the barrel. You are the scum of the earth, or at least you're viewed this way. So this pursuit for freedom, this pursuit for truth, this pursuit for wealth, this pursuit for success is your duty as a man. It's your duty as a woman. When you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, you got to put in the fucking work. Now, the reason a lot of you guys don't like education is because of the school system. You correlate education to indoctrination and you believe that they're the same. But you know what's more beautiful? When you understand that as you become an adult, that you get to choose what information you want to consume. And because you are so dependent on the system, so blind and indoctrinated, you choose your sources of information, or you believe that you choose your sources of information, but you truly don't. You're manipulated into believing what you believe. So before we talk about money, I need to rewire your mindset. The opposite of courage is conformity. A lot of you guys are conforming to the system. You're conforming to the beliefs of your parents. You're conforming to the beliefs of the government. You're conforming to the beliefs of other individuals. The reason you go to work, well, you don't know why you go to work. You just know that you were supposed to go to work because ever since you were 6, your teachers asked you, well, what job is your dream job? Bitch, what if I don't want to work? Does that make sense? All right, let's get this shit started. Somebody said talk about crypto. I'm going to talk about crypto whenever the fuck I want to talk about crypto. You ain't ready to talk about crypto because if you wanted to talk about crypto, you'd be in this room with me making big bucks. The reason you want me to talk about crypto is because you're not prepared. But Fizz, I'm going to wake you up, motherfucker. And once you're awake, you're not going to need me to talk about crypto because you're going to be making big bucks yourself. All right. So somebody said I look like Alex Becker. All right. Sounds good. Let's move this. Let's move on to this video. Let's move on to this video. And we're going to start dissecting this video little by little. I've made tens of millions of dollars off of this device right here. This little device right here. By the way, guys, if you don't have on your iPhone or on your Android some sort of privacy security on your cameras, and you're using your face scanner and shit, you need to understand that all that information, all that privacy is being leaked. So don't be a moron. Anyways, I love this video. Obviously, it's a video none of you guys have ever watched. I'm gonna put you guys onto some real content, some real top stuff. All right, let's get it.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your life."
Guys, have you ever seen people like Democrats and Republicans? Okay, keep that in mind. Keep that shit in mind. Just run it.
Lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men. Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free.
Free.
No more would you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other.
No longer a slave? I'm a free man? They told me I'm free.
In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want, Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish."
You're free, but be careful. You're free, but be careful.
"Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he is the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. but he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation.
Guys, why would Biden do anything bad? He's a public servant. He's a public servant. He's not your master. He's a public servant. He's a man of the people. He sniffs little kids, but like, no, but that doesn't matter. He's a Catholic. He's a good old man. Bro, I read these comments on Twitter. This shit's amazing. Get ready, boys. I'm gonna wake you the fuck up.
In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy...
Guys, together. We're in this together. Tell me what the motto of we're in this together over the last 2 years. That mob mentality
bullshit. I present you this
bullshit.
new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag.
Oh my goodness. Oh, beautiful, bro. This shit's amazing.
In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones Plantation.
Freedom.
He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. And this shall be our motto, Mr. Smith announced. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Hey, don't forget, it's Super Bowl Sunday. It's your day off. All right, go watch the game. Go watch the pigskin get tossed. Oh, go to Black Friday. Go trample each other over some TVs. But be back tomorrow for work, bitch. Be back to work tomorrow because you're a free man. Be back to work tomorrow because you're a free man. No, you're not a free man. You're a slave, and they're trying to keep you down.
Early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men. Finally convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
We all want this plantation to do well, Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourself,
Just because you're free doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing slave shit. Come on.
I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants,
There's got to be
the plantation
rules.
won't produce anything.
Somebody's
The
got to
experiment
enforce the
will fail
rules.
and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job.
Looks familiar, huh? Well, maybe we put these guys in 4 years, 6 years, 8 years of indoctrination and make them believe that they're the protectors of the country. Guys, by the way, spam one if this is valuable to you, if this is kind of unplugging your head a little bit. We're starting from zero and I'm taking you guys all the way to the fucking top. Before we continue watching this, I want you guys to put a social experiment out. The social experiment is the following. Figure out in your day-to-day how many people are trying to impose their will on your life. Every single person is trying to impose their will. No, walk this direction. No, walk this direction. No, walk this direction. No, do this. No, you can't say this. No, do that. Oh, you got to come here. Bro, everything. Even basic shit like a security guard. And the security guard tells you, no, you can't walk this direction. You say, I'm walking in this direction. They will be flabbergasted and shocked and in complete, utter disbelief that somebody questioned them because they are almighty and all powerful. Even grocery store employees, bro, people want to impose their will upon your life. Impose your will. And most people are just bitches. They're cowards. They don't have any courage. They don't have a spine. And I understand why most of you guys are not courageous. I understand why most of you guys don't have what it takes. It's because you don't have the resources. But Capital Club is going to provide that for you. Don't get it fucking twisted. We're going to the top. So let's continue this shit.
To make sure that the rules are followed and so on. The rest of you may head out to the fields to start your first day of work as free men.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. I have an unpleasant duty to do today, he said. Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit.
No shit.
That is against the rules.
Entrepreneurs?
And stealing. For that, Charles must be punished. 2 men tied Charles to the whipping post. I take no joy in this, Mr. Smith continued, but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail and we will all suffer. The whip cracked against Charles' back. But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy.
Who dictates the rules of the common good? Who dictates the rules of the common good? It ain't you. Had you not seen it on the news, your life would have been the same it was 4 years ago. Had you not seen it on the news, right? You wouldn't be worried about Putin invading some country. You wouldn't be worried about that shit. You wouldn't. But you're worried about that shit because that's the shit that you consume. Who chooses the common good? It ain't you. Once we get done waking you guys up, we're going to transition. We're going to start talking about crypto. We're going to start talking about how to make some money.
Greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits. A young man named Samuel stepped forward. But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before? How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so.
Titles.
Do you
Fake
know
titles,
how to run a
baby.
plantation, Samuel? Well, no.
Have you ever been in politics? What the fuck do you know about politics and managing people? How do you know what we need to do? That's what they'll tell you. That's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you you're not qualified, stay in your lane, you're a peasant, and you continue in that avenue because you believe it. There's no difference between you and them, except the information that they have and the information that you have, the information that they believe and the information that you believe. Zero difference.
He answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not...
I want you to look up. I'm gonna put a pause on this shit, bro. I'm gonna put a pause on the show. We're gonna watch another one real quick. In 2001, something happened. 2 Jenga buildings fell. 2 Jenga buildings fell in 2001. Another little building fell right next to it, Tower 7. We all know this. And what did our great old president at the moment pledge? He pledged a war on terror. A war on terror. That's what he pledged. A war on terror. A war against an enemy that you'd never seen, you'd never heard of, but you were angry about. You couldn't believe that they would do such a thing. Clowns, absolutely asleep. A war on terror. What the fuck is terror? Who defines terror? Go look up a video right now. I'm gonna play that. Look up a video of George Bush being like, "Now I pledge war on terror. Now let me show you how I swing my fucking golf club." And he goes and swings that shit. It's fucking nuts, bro.
If not for Mr. Jones' protection.
It wasn't for us.
Making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied.
Satisfied. Voice your opinions. Fill out petitions. If you have any problems, go out on the streets and picket and riot. These guys are looking at you, sipping their fucking whiskey from their ivory towers. Okay. Sounds good. Keep talking. Yes. We're going. Nothing changes. It's all an illusion. It's all a dream. It's all a lie. And when you understand it, you're going to get unplugged from the system.
And headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special...
Oh, you got it. Guys, we're going to have every 3 months a special meeting where you're going to get to choose whether you want this guy or this guy. But I'm going to select whether we give you this guy or this guy. Oh, but you, the people, you have the freedom of choice. You have the freedom to decide. It's all an illusion. It's all garbage. They're both wings of the same fucking bird.
Special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you
Send
are
this
in
link to
charge
somebody.
because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased.
Woo! Yeah, the slaves celebrate. The slaves are out here celebrating. They're celebrating. Look at them. Look at them. Unbelievable. Slaves celebrating. Democracy doesn't work. Democracy isn't real because people are idiots.
Things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
I get to choose. I get to choose what I want in life. But you know what? At the end of the day, you got to go back and pick the cotton because you're a fucking slave. You have to go clock into your 9 to 5. You have to wake up like a bitch. Your vote matters. Every vote counts. Every single one of them. They all count. We count them all. We count all of them. I swear, I promise. I promise you, on God, we count every single one of them. There's no fallacy. There's no human error. There's no bias. It's fair. It's fair. It's fair, they tell you.
Days passed, months passed, a year passed,
And
the
nothing
plantation continued to operate
changed.
as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto, "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones
Every day,
Plantation,
waking up
which
like
stands for
drones.
prosperity."
Every day, waking up like drones. Every single day, waking up like drones, pledging allegiance, chanting the same thing that every other person chants. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. And this isn't a thing about countries. This isn't a thing. It's understanding that these are man-made systems controlled by individuals or a group of people designed to keep you poor. It's the name of the game. Welcome.
Liberty and justice for all. One day, Mr. Smith announced, "Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin."
You got to speak your mind, but you're capped at 120 seconds, and then we ain't going to do shit about what you said because your opinion doesn't really matter.
Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. I was excited.
You know why Samuel's scared in this video? Because he's a peasant. He's a slave. If he had an army behind him and he was wealthy as fuck, do you think he'd be imposing his opinion the same way he's imposing it now? No, because he's a bitch.
Excited when all this started, he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing has changed. We're all still slaves. There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all of the...
Guys, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Do you understand that? Nothing has changed. We get worse and worse and worse and worse. Worse. Trillions of dollars printed out of thin air. Trillions of dollars printed out of thin air. And you're not mad about it when you spent, and your parents and your grandparents have spent their entire life, all of it, their entire life for fake money. Paper that is printed from where? From where? Do you know? No, you don't? Slave. I'm going to teach you where. I'm going to wake you guys up. Let's get ready for this shit.
All of the work, and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we...
What happens if the government imposes 80% tax on you? What are you going to do, you little pussy? What power do you hold? Oh, but our government officials are going to elect us to win and do this. Bro, New York has 50% tax. 50% tax. And these clowns are still living there. Still living there. Drones. NPC characters. Can you imagine working from January, February, March, April, May, June, compressing all that time in your life, that entire span of your life? I need to kill this fucking fly, it's annoying me. That entire span of your life, compressing that, right? Compressing that shit. I need to kill that. What if I catch that fly? That shit would be crazy. I'd be straight up Neo. 50% for what? Potholes, lack of safety, fucked up society, screwed up ecosystem, gross environments, all that shit. Every single one of it. 50%. Can you imagine being indoctrinated to give 50% of your money away to an organization that you know nothing about? That's why I live in Puerto Rico, so I pay 0% tax because I know how this game is fucking played. And I play it the right way. I play it the legal way. I'm a top boss. I'm a big boss. Let's play this shit.
We pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed.
You know what they realized about slavery, guys? Chat, you know what they realized? They realized that it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable to beat people. It wasn't, you needed to keep your slaves alive for optimal production and for optimal performance. So what did they say? Let's print out this dollar, this fake money. Let's control it. Guys, you don't even know the history of the currency that you use. Do you understand that? Do you understand that you're going to work to get something that you know nothing about? And it doesn't seem to bother you. It doesn't seem that you care enough to realize that this shit is designed to keep you a slave. Oh, but I have a house and I have a car. Do you understand that you don't even own your house? That the government could take it away today? That you have the right of use on the house, the right to use the house, but the house does not belong to you. Chat, I need some activity on this shit. Come on, let's run this bitch.
They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all
Your time is up. Your time is up. You can't wake people up. Your time is up. Shut the fuck up. Sit down.
They call it sharing.
Take from the rich. That's what they tell you. Take from the rich. And they ain't taking shit from the rich, bro. Do you know how many pages there are in the tax code? It's like 70,000 pages in the tax code, of which you know zero. All of them full of loopholes. All of them full of secrets. Understanding how to move your money. Do you think Bezos operates with the same level of intelligence and knowledge that you do? Everybody says, I want to be a billionaire. Everybody says, I'm going to be a billionaire. Bro, you don't even know what it fucking takes to be a billionaire. Do you understand that? You do not understand the information, the things that you must do in order to become a billionaire. You're not going to become a billionaire. You read a book every fucking 5 years and it doesn't bother you. But the ones that are here, they understand something. Let's play this shit.
What you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time is up, Samuel? Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, two supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel.
When you talk about truth, you know what they say? They say you're being negative, you're being pessimistic, you're holding people down. That's what they tell you. When you talk about truth, And the truth isn't always pretty, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't address it. They'll call you negative. They'll call you a liar. They'll call you a pessimist. They'll tell you, why are you focused on the wrong things? Bro, it's all fucked up.
You will let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the better.
You know what? Look,
Animals, each doing whatever he pleases.
listen to this here.
Without law,
Listen to what he attributes the characteristic of an animal.
there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases.
Each behaving like a wild animal, doing as he pleases. The correlation of freedom is correlated with you being a savage. Do you understand?
We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those
Whose plan? It ain't your plan. You're following along. And if you do not lead, you follow.
who do not must be punished. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous.
The arrangement, there is no such thing as an arrangement. You've been told what to do from the moment you were born. You've complied from the moment you were born. You've never questioned it. That's why you're broke. That's why you're fat. That's why you're in a disgusting state of mind. That's why you're depressed. If they had all the answers, why isn't your life so great? My life is amazing. I'm sitting on tens of millions of dollars. I have a beautiful family. I look good as fuck. I'm healthy. My spiritual life is on fire. Why? Because I listened to nothing that they said. Nothing.
At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to?
If everybody's doing it, well, what makes you think that you're special? Everybody's on the plane and they take it off in order to sip a little bit of water and then put it back on. But you state that it's weird as fuck that you can take it off to sip a little bit of water and eat and then put it back on because it makes no logical sense whatsoever to any person that has two brain cells. And the moment you question, you're not trying to keep us safe. You're trying to hold us down. You're trying to keep us down. You are the problem. That's what they tell you. You are the problem.
You think you're above, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us.
Rebellion.
They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve.
And the moral of the story is that you do not choose the rules of the game. The rules of the game are perpetrated on you. They're imposed on you, and they are there to deceive you into believing that you have freedom of choice, freedom of will, and freedom to decide the outcome of your life. Initially, you don't. And the reason you don't understand this is because you've been born into it. You don't know anything different. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to fucking Capital Club. I'm here to unplug you. I'm not the only one, but I'm in communication with the rest. A revolution is upon us. The time is near, and this is just the beginning of the journey. If you cannot become rich of the mind, which is what I'm training you to be, to question why you do what you do. Guys, do you think it's fucking normal to sit? Guys, do you think it's fucking normal to sit down on your couch after waking up at 7 a.m, commuting for 2 hours, working a 9 to 5 under fucking fluorescent lights, typing shit on an Excel sheet, getting back, commuting another 2 hours, sitting at home with fucking Taco Bell, genetically modified food, watching Netflix for 2 hours, going to sleep with a bitch that doesn't want to fuck you because you're ugly as fuck, waking up and doing the same exact thing for 40 fucking years. Is that the life that you want? Well, that's the life that you chose. So if you want a different life, you must make different choices. Welcome to Capital Club, bitch. Alrighty. This stream is going to get more exciting. It's going to get better as we kind of build out this ecosystem. We are going to be really sharing with you guys what the game is about, what we're about. The reason I've decided to do this, and I'm going to be extremely transparent. There's a club out there, a rich club, a club with billionaires. You have to compromise your morality to be in it. You'll get blackmailed to be in it. You have to do all sorts of things in order to do it. Even Grant Cardone says it. I should pull up a clip where Grant Cardone says, if I need to cut and bathe myself in goat blood or put a little bit of goat blood on my face in order to be a billionaire, I'll do it. Fucking Scientologist. Should I not say that though? Should I? Because I want to be on his podcast. Is that? Oh well, too late. Oh well. Slaves, bro. Slaves. You do not need $1 billion. $1 billion won't make you happy. Do you understand that? Money solves money problems, and then you're left with problems that money cannot solve. And those are the problems that you've been looking for answers your entire life. That's why life is about balance and coherence. But you need money because we operate on a financial system. Everything is transactional, monetarily transactional. The reason you're here is because you have Wi-Fi that you paid for because you worked out and paid for it, that you have a device that you can watch this video because you're literally here because you have money. There's tens of millions of people out there that have no, and hundreds of millions of people, maybe even 1 billion people have no internet service, have no electricity. They're never getting out. Do you understand that they're never getting out? You have an opportunity. Being in this chat is not normal. Listening to this, it's not normal. You need to understand this. It's not normal. It's a privilege. And to whom much is given, much is required. So I hope you do something about it. I hope you start analyzing your life, and I hope you start taking things a little bit more seriously. Okay.